All right, we need to talk about this. If you've been shopping for new fishing gear lately, especially some of the higher-end reels, you have probably noticed some serious sticker shock. We're going to break down exactly what is going on with reel prices, and we're going to focus on one of the biggest names out there, Shimano.
You know, this whole thing kicked off for me during the last Labor Day sale. I was just browsing, looking for some deals, and I started seeing a pattern, and it wasn't just surprising, it was honestly pretty disturbing for anyone who pays attention to the fishing tackle market. Prices weren't just creeping up, they were leaping.
So what's really happening here? Let's get into the hard data, let's look at the numbers, and you'll see just how big these price increases are. And funny enough, we're going to start with a brand that isn't even Shimano.
Yeah, the first real red flag that this was a bigger issue came from another major company, Luz. When I saw their prices had jumped, that was the first sign that this was probably happening across the entire market.
And man, what a sign it was. The Luz Speed Spool reel, you know the one, it's a total workhorse. It's always been that perfect $99 reel. Well, not anymore. Its price shot up to $139. That's a massive 40% increase on a reel that has been the definition of value for years.
But as wild as that was, the real shocker came when I looked at Shimano. I mean, they're arguably the best-selling, top-performing reel maker in the world. Whatever happens with their prices sends huge ripples through the whole industry.
And just look at this. The sheer number of increases is what's so striking. We're not talking about one or two niche models here. The flagship Antares, up $50. The Menadam DC, up $40. Even the entry-level workhorse, the SLX A150, that magic $99 price point is gone. It's almost $115 now. But the one that really stands out to me is the Transex 300, a best-in-class swim bait reel, which jumped a full $50. Wow.
So, the natural question is why? Why is this all happening? Well, the most common explanation floating around points to one big economic factor. Let's dig into that theory.
Right off the bat, a lot of people are thinking this has to be about tariffs. And, you know, it's a complex issue, but it seems like a pretty good reason for a sudden price hike on imported goods. But does it really explain everything we're seeing here?
See, this is where the whole tariff theory gets a little shaky if you look closer. A price hike on a reel made in Japan like the Antares, that might make sense under certain tariffs. But then why did the Tranx 300, which is made in Malaysia, also get hit with that massive $50 increase? The logic, it just doesn't totally line up.
So with prices going up here in the US market, some savvy anglers started looking for a workaround. And it turns out there's a pretty well-known alternative for folks who are willing to do a little international shopping. And the difference in price is staggering. Anglers can often buy the Japanese domestic market or JDM version of these reels for way less. Get this, the US Trans 300 is now $350. Its JDM counterpart, the Scorpion 300, is around $250. The Aldebaran BFS, it's $200 cheaper if you buy it direct from Japan. For the high-end stuff, the savings are just undeniable.
But hey, before you run off and open a new tab for a Japanese tackle website, hold on. There is a huge catch. This little loophole, it doesn't cover everyone, and in fact, it misses the exact reels that most people are actually buying.
And here is the twist. The price hikes that are really going to hurt the most people are on the highest volume, most popular reels in the North American market. We're talking models that were specifically designed for and sold to us, consumers. These reels have no direct JDM equivalent. There is no escape.
So which models are we talking about? Oh, just the absolute titans of the bass fishing world. The SLX A150, the Curado 150M, and the SLX XT. These are the reels on every bestseller list. They are the core of Shimano sales. And you can't just order a cheaper version from Japan, because one doesn't exist. You simply have to pay the new, higher price.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. Is the Curado M still worth $235? Absolutely. The performance is still there, it's a fantastic reel. But the problem is psychological, isn't it? When we've been conditioned for years to see a product at a certain price point, a sudden jump just feels wrong. It breaks that sense of value we've had in our heads, and it makes that purchase a lot harder to justify, even if the reel itself is just as good.
So, as we wrap this up, it leaves us with a really big question. It's easy to say the consumer is the one who loses here, and yeah, we're certainly feeling the pinch. But think about the North American retailers who now have to sell a product that all of a sudden looks way less appealing. Or what about Shimano itself, which is risking alienating its most loyal customers? When prices jump this dramatically, who really bears the cost in the long run?